The landscape of mobile operating systems has been dominated by a duopoly for over a decade. The problem with this duopoly is that we are seeing more and more monetization of user data and closed ecosystems. While we see some changes with projects like the Library Phone project from the Free Software Foundation, for example, Ubuntu Touch takes a completely different approach, bringing a standard Linux desktop base to the mobile phone. Canonical actually gave up the project about 9 years ago, but the community picked it up. A dedicated group of 800 volunteers has continued to develop it to this day. It is not just another custom ROM like, for example, Graphene OS or Lineage OS. It's a fully fledged Linux operating system optimized for touch. The device I'm checking out today is the Fairphone 4. Let's take a look at the system. I have a test unit here, the Fairphone 4, which was kindly sent to me by the community. Thanks a lot for that. The Fairphone 4 actually has a special status as a promoted device. It means it receives direct support and focus from the core developers. It's one of the flagships for Ubuntu Touch. And the cool thing about a Fairphone is that we have the ideal hardware manifestation of software values, so modularity, repairability, and longevity meet an operating system that knows no planned obsolescence. Even older devices like the Pixel 3a, for example, which is around 8 years old, are still supported. This is great. Let's jump into the system. To unlock, you just swipe. If you know Ubuntu from the desktop, you will recognize the similarities. We have our taskbar on the left. If you swipe from the left edge, you see your launcher, and swiping from the right edge shows you all open applications for multitasking. The top bar is also very interesting. So if you swipe down from the specific icons, you get specific controls. For example, swiping down from the Wi-Fi icon brings you directly to network settings. It's a very intuitive operating concept, I would say. And one feature I won't show you in detail today, but it's worth mentioning. You can connect this phone to a monitor via a dock, and you get a full Ubuntu desktop experience, which is similar to Unity 7 or Unity 8, the older desktop environment Canonical once developed. And it's looking quite nice. I put you a link to it into the video description if you want to see it in action. And now let's look at the compatibility and apps. You won't find the Google Play Store here. Instead, we have the OpenStore. It's a fully open source and community curated. There are no algorithms pushing commercial apps. The app landscape is divided into two categories. So native apps written in Qt and C++ and web apps. For communication, we have apps like Teleports, for example. This is a native Telegram client that uses the official library. It feels like a first-party app with sticker support and voice messages. Typing on the keyboard feels good, though it doesn't support swipe typing by default, like some Android keyboards. For example, I'm very used to that swipe typing, and honestly, I'm missing it a bit on this operating system, but I guess that's fine. If it comes to navigation, many people use, for example, UNAV. It uses OpenStreetMap data, and one thing to note is, since we don't have Google's location services helping out, getting a GPS log might take a bit longer, like you're used to on modern Android phones, especially if you haven't used the GPS in a while, and especially the Fairphone 4 has a longer GPS connection time when you launch it for the first time, so be aware of that if you're already having the Fairphone 4. When it comes to other proprietary services that don't have native Linux apps, we have a tool called webapps. It allows you to easily create web apps. For example, you can create an Instagram app in seconds. It runs in a container and looks very good. However, there's a major limitation. These web apps do not support push notifications. So if someone messages you on Instagram, you won't know until you open the app again. This is a general restriction in Ubuntu Touch to save battery. Background processes are very strictly managed. But now let's come to the elephant in the room. Can you run Android apps on Ubuntu Touch? And yes, you can, using Waydroid. It allows you to run a full Android operating system in a container on the Fairphone 4 on your Ubuntu Touch. And thanks to the Snapdragon processor on the Fairphone 4 and good RAM, this works incredibly well. It feels honestly nearly native, not like a sluggish emulation, and you can even install F-Droid, for example, or the Aurora store to get your Android apps. I installed the Schedule app for the Chemnitz Linux days. This is the biggest German Linux event in the year, so kind of important stuff for many German Linux users, and yeah, this works perfectly. But again, the notification issue persists also there, and so if you install WhatsApp there, it becomes hard to get push notifications from WhatsApp, for example, if you use this WhatsApp version inside Waydroid. So unless you use battery draining scripts to keep Waydroid active, you won't get any background notifications at all for WhatsApp or Signal inside this Waydroid. And also banking apps usually won't work because Waydroid cannot pass the Google safety net checks. And now let's talk about camera. And this is where Ubuntu Touch unfortunately falls short compared to the stock Android on the same device. The drivers had to be kind of reverse engineered by the community. While you can take photos, the quality is noticeably lower, especially in low light. It's fine for snapshots, but if you are a mobile photographer, you will be disappointed compared to the stock software on a Fairphone, so keep that in mind. And when it comes to installation and support, Ubuntu Touch supports specific devices like the Fairphone 4 and 5, also some Volla phones and certain Pixel and OnePlus models as we see it here on the list. And what's also very important, you need the exact model match. So if you have an additional letter to your smartphone name or smartphone model, then this probably won't work. And installation is actually kind of easy. For example, if we go to the Fairphone 4 and then we also see what's working, what's not working, and also installation instructions down there. At first, you need to unlock the bootloader, but then the UB ports installer, which you can download here, guides you through everything with a nice graphical interface. Here we are in our graphical installer. We can set up some UDEF rules and then we can enable the developer mode and such things. It's very easy to use it, to install it. I already did it at some point, and it has a better installation process than many Android custom ROMs, for example. So I would say they are really good in this. And updating is also very, very simple. It just works over the air through the system settings, just like you're used to. So this is a very great experience, and I very like this approach. And a lot of props to them. So you don't have to have some tools like TWRP or some other recovery images on your smartphone. It just works out of the box, and it just works over the air with a not too complicated setup. Instead, really easy, just clicking a button and then you are up to date. So great work here from the Ubuntu Touch community. So in conclusion, who is Ubuntu Touch for? If you want to banish Google from your life, or you are a Linux enthusiast who enjoys having a full terminal, for example, on their phone, you can do that. This is for you. It is also great for digital minimalists who want a phone for basic tasks without the constant distraction of an attention-grabbing ecosystem. However, if you depend on banking apps, for example, need instant social media notifications, or expect high-end photography, Ubuntu Touch is not ready for you yet. It has developed significantly, especially with Waydroid. they made a huge step forward, and the fact that this project has survived for over 10 years gives me honestly hope. It's a respectable alternative to the complete Android cosmos, and if you are not dependent on any push notifications, then this might be for you. Now, what do you think? Is this an alternative for you? I would say personally for me it's not an alternative because I need some banking apps, and I also am very dependent, for example, on the Signal Messenger. And I have a smartphone which is not supported by Ubuntu Touch at the time, so this won't be for me. But I follow the upcoming updates from Ubuntu Touch and I'm very excited where they are still going. And in the last years, I would say they made a really huge step forward. But still, there's a way to go. I would say the next big pain point are push notifications, and to be honest, this is not as easy as you would expect it. If you found this video helpful and informative, please leave a like and subscribe to this YouTube channel, because here on Linux.ort we are releasing new stuff about Linux and open source every week. For now, enjoy using your device, whatever it may be, and see you in the next one. Bye!